you have officially announced you are running for re-election. And in your first video, you featured Vice President Harris 10 times. When Obama was in that position, he didn't mention you, sir. What are you trying to tell us?
Well, President Obama and I became very good friends. We just had a slightly different style of how we do things.
Then he fell asleep. His head fell forward and he started snoring, and oatmeal fell on his bib. That's Lunch Bucket Joe. His brain, she's a no good. That brain of his, she's a broke. That was Joe Biden being fluffed by MSDNC on Friday. It is good to be a Democrat. He could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue and he wouldn't lose an anchor man or a reporter or anchor woman. I wouldn't want to discriminate or anything like that. You know, they named Kamala Harris the AI czar. That's sexist, isn't it? You know, Russia had czarinas too, and she should be the czarina. Why do they always say czar, these sexist media people that gin up these titles in Washington, D.C.? Well, welcome back. And we are, of course, at 888-630-9625. That is a toll-free telephone number to all of you out there in listening land. And there's a lot of crazy out there. In the last hour, going through a whole lot of wackadoodle-doo crime statistics that ought to knock everyone's socks off. And if the Democrat Party had any interest in civil society, I think that, they would be sounding the alarm bells. But they're not, because, caring about human life is not something that the left involves itself in, and the Democrat Party is now the left. Black children now 100 times as likely as white children to be the victims of fatal and non-fatal shootings. Under 18, African American 100 times more likely to be shot or shot and killed. And where's the news media coverage of that? That is war zone level and beyond crazy stuff. Even before the Wuhan came along, African American children 17 and younger were 27 times more likely to be shot or shot and killed than white kids 17 and younger. And that was a non-story, and this is a non-story too. And this came out of Boston University with their big study. And the Chicago Sun-Times had the story. The Washington Post doesn't have it, not going to publish it. You know why? Black people, Black America, they don't care. You know what they care about? Jefferson Davis, Nathan Bedford Forrest, Jim Crow. In fact, at college campuses, I was reading the story last week, Columbia University, Barack Obama's alma mater, they're having racially segregated graduations. And they think that's progressive. That's progressive. Got to keep in mind that they are the party of Jim Crow. Every single Jim Crow law was a Democrat law. All right, let me start getting to other stuff. As the grim crime picture. And I shared that just so far this year in Washington, D.C., even though we're not halfway through the year yet, there have been 4 carjackings per square mile in Washington, D.C. If this trend continues, and we haven't even come into the summer months when there's more of that. So you should expect it to accelerate for a period of time, a long period of time. So we're looking at start at 9 carjackings per square mile in Washington, D.C. this year, based on the current statistics. And between 2021 and 2022, the number of carjackings in Washington, D.C. tripled. And this year, they're up again by, about 30%. Boy, oh boy. Good thing they don't allow tax-paying, law-abiding citizens to get concealed carry permits, because a lot of the Democrats' children might be shot while carjacking people. And now on to, here's the Washington Post today. Front page lead story, Iran hid arms in its aid. That's hard to believe, isn't it? File says allegedly sent weapons to Syria. That's shocking, isn't it? How about Yemen? Oh, they sent weapons to Yemen, too. How about Indonesia? Oh, yeah, okay. Post-earthquake shipments may threaten U.S. troops. They're Iran, all right? They're the world's leading state sponsor of terror. They're led by an Ayatollah, not of rock and rolla, the other kind. Yeah, and that's they're shocked. They're shocked by that. And then they have racist views eyed in massacre. Gunmen's beliefs being considered as possible motive in Texas shooting out of Allen, Texas. Now they've got only in America. I feel like only in America. I'm Don King. Because the white supremacist here is 33-year-old, so they say, white supremacist. They're calling him a white supremacist because that's what they like to do. So they can say another white supremacist massacre. They can't point to another one. I can point to more transgender perpetrators in massacres than so-called white supremacists. But they're calling 33-year-old Mauricio Garcia. Mauricio Garcia is now being labeled as a white supremacist by the Washington Post and the others in the media. Again, I guess that the white supremacists are expanding their fan base. Guys, our ranks are shrinking. We're going to have to start taking in Hispanics, Latinos. But we call them beep and beep and beep. We're going to have to let Mauricio Garcia into the white supremacist ranks. That makes a lot of sense. This is the story they're pitching, though. And the reason they say is because he was wearing a vest, and the vest had a patch on the chest, and the patch has these initials, RWDS. RWDS. There's a patch on the vest he was wearing. It says RWDS, which the Washington Post informs me because, only like 8 people in the country know what that's supposed to mean. Right-wing death squad. Right-wing death squad. So Mauricio Garcia, the Washington Post concludes, because of this patch on a vest. Now, hey, Washington Post, where did Mauricio Garcia buy the vest? Maybe like at a yard sale on a table in a front yard. Where did he get this? At a gun show? Did he bring it from Guatemala? Did he, where did it come from? They don't know. They don't care. It's like, hey, wait a minute. He's got this. Did he know what it meant? That's good. Did he? Was he up late at night with needle and thread sewing his RWDS patch onto his vests, which I don't know if it was a body armor or not, but it had pockets for additional magazines of ammunition. And then, thankfully, a police officer, who the Democrats vilify, came along and shot the guy who had what the news media keeps calling an AR-15 style rifle. I saw another story over the weekend. I hope to get to it as well. That Americans are hiring private security now in unprecedented numbers. And the article I read, was that Time Magazine? I think it was Time Magazine. They said they kept referring to the man's AR-15 rifle, and the guy was carrying a shotgun, a 12-gauge shotgun with a magazine, but it was not an AR-15 style rifle, but they don't know the difference. They know they want to ban these things, but they couldn't pick one out of a lineup. Our news media. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, so it's just, it's kind of amazing now. He was shot and killed by a police officer who they vilify all over the place. And the police officer saved a lot of lives. I think the police officer may have been African-American who took him out, coming up against this guy with superior firepower, but took him out with his pistol. And they say that there's still a great deal of evidence to collect, the Washington Post says. But he did have an RWDS patch. Therefore, Mauricio Garcia was a white supremacist. Either that or he didn't know what the patch meant, or 5 other possible answers. And then they say that investigators are approaching the shooting as a possible hate crime. He's dead. He was shot and killed by a police officer who you vilify. But never mind that. So that is the, and by the way, this story is on the front page now, the Texas shooting. But don't be fooled, because in yesterday's paper, which is this happened on Friday. In yesterday's paper, it made page A23 and got 7 paragraphs. At least 8 killed and 7 wounded after gunman opens fire in mall in Texas. And they had 4 reporters typing up the story. And it's 7 paragraphs. How do 4 reporters produce 7 paragraphs? You don't even get 2 paragraphs each. So 3 of them got 2 paragraphs, and the other one just got 1 paragraph. And it appeared on page A23, just above some roofing ads, and below a story about Amazon. Because it wasn't a big deal. But now it's on the front page because they're calling Mauricio Garcia a white supremacist and a neo-Nazi because he had a patch on his vest that he probably bought secondhand that says RWDS, which nobody understands, means right-wing death squad. But there you go. That's the and now CNN I read on, and the Washington Post didn't even have this part of it. Now they're saying, oh, his internet searches included neo-Nazi and white supremacist websites. How about Pornhub? Did it include Pornhub too? Because would that change it? Would that make it a porn-related massacre? The media just wants to find someone they can identify this way because he's a Hispanic man. And then the Hispanic man ran over and killed a busload of people with his car yesterday. And that one was yesterday, right? Yeah, that was yesterday. And he's a Hispanic man. But maybe he had a sticker on his car that said RWDS, and then they can claim that he was a white supremacist, because that's what they're doing. Hey, his search on the internet, you know how many things I search for on the internet every month? I do. I do this for a living, and so I search hundreds of different stories, sometimes in a single day. But never mind that. All right, let's get to, I want to get to this story. Just crazy. Front page also above the fold today. Most in U.S. back GOP's anti-trans policies. I wouldn't say they're really anti-trans policies. They are leave the kids alone policies. That could be what they're talking about here. Poll bolsters, they like that word bolster. Poll bolsters those seeking restrictions in schools, sports, and health care. Now, I will explain the lie behind this story in the Washington Post and the revelations that are buried deep in the story that are bad for the Democrat Party and good for sane, rational people that are not child sexual predators. You know, let's not be critical of someone just because they want to have sex with a 5-year-old, as the Democrats are teaching in school. Do you know that you can purify the air in your home and get healthy, clean, fresh-smelling air, eliminate odors, kill mold, mildew, bacteria, and viruses? The Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier uses Oxy technology that naturally sends out O3 molecules. These are molecules that can seek out odors and air pollutants in your home and destroy them. It doesn't mask or cover up bad odors like a spray can. It eliminates them. It's called the Thunderstorm because it purifies the air in your home, your office, and provides you with pure, fresh air just like after a thunderstorm. Right now, you can save $200 American on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for a whole home protection. You get 3 units for under $200. That's a fraction of the cost compared with other air purifiers that can go for more than $600 each. So you can put one in your basement, your bedroom, your kitchen, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. I've got 2 of them at home. With this special offer, you're getting 3 units for under $200. You can hold one in your hand. They're only this big. Go to EdenPureDeals.com on Al Gore's amazing internet. Put in the discount code Chris to save $200 because you hang with me. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris, and shipping is free. Yeah. They've got a Washington Post and Washington Post ABC News polls over the weekend, and they're hiding the relevant numbers because they don't serve the interests of the party. I've got these amazing poll number is coming up, and the Washington Post spin must be duly noted. Hey, Chris here with some exciting news. Now you can listen to me live on the WMAL app. Doesn't matter if you're in your car, in the office, on the go. The WMAL app delivers crystal clear around-the-clock news coverage anywhere with cell service or Wi-Fi. So don't miss a second of your favorite shows. Download the WMAL app today on the Apple App Store or at Google Play Store. All right, we got, the Democrats are on the loose, so there's a lot of transgender news, and the transgender poll leading to celebration at Ron DeSantis' home and office. We've also been talking about crime and mayhem and Democrats and the nationwide crime wave. And what's happening in the United States of America, the mean streets of the United States of America getting meaner everywhere you look. And before I get to all the transgender stuff, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Al calling from Northern Virginia. Al, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I just wanted to piggyback on what the previous caller, Luis, said. Having grown up through the communist takeover in Nicaragua, it's the same thing that's going on now. Everything's full of deceit. They're against the truth. They want to split families. They silence opposition. There's a two-tier legal system. They want to destroy the fabric of society through schools, religion, illegal immigration. It's the same thing. It's just like what the Sandinistas did. It's like Luis said, I can't believe people don't see this for what it is. And it's the end game is communism. My other quick comment is the RWDS patch. The only reason right-wing death squads were formed is to combat communists. So maybe they should keep that in mind.
In Latin America and Central America and Nicaragua in particular, to combat the communists. And the Democrats in the United States in the 1980s fought against anyone that was against the Sandinistas.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I can tell you, Congresswoman Shorter from Colorado, I remember Jimmy Carter meeting with Daniel Ortega. I mean, it's the evidence has been in front of us for decades that the Democrats are no even longer hiding anymore. Is that they want communism, that they want to destroy. They are destroying the fabric of society in order to take control. But in America, we have this little thing called the Second Amendment. We have the First Amendment. We have some other amendments that they desperately want to do away with for that specific reason.
Now, Louise is a former member of the United States Marine Corps.
Who to him, I a proud member of the 10th Mountain Division as an infantryman, and I wore that American flag with tremendous pride.
Al. Thanks, Al. All right. Welcome back. We are at 888-630-9625. The Democrat Party is a national crime wave. They have incited, instigated, excused, promoted a national crime wave, defended, deflected on behalf of, raised bail for the criminals, the national crime wave. In fact, I got a text just a little while ago after we were talking about all the crime and the mayhem and the broad daylight looting. Now it's one man looting, and they go and they intimidate the store owners and the employees. And I got a text while we were talking about it from our friend Randy, who runs the Chris Plant store, with our great T-shirts and coffee mugs and other things. And a neighborhood in D.C. called Spring Valley, also how far from here? A mile and a half maybe from the radio station. Right, kind of on the perimeter, on the edge of Washington, D.C. You know, you can chip a golf ball into Maryland from there. And it's a nice area. There's a CVS there. Robbed 3 times just lately by thugs, Democrats, walking in broad daylight with hefty bags, and they just use their arm to sweep things off the shelves into the hefty bags, and they walk out and dare you to do anything about it because, you know, the implied threat is that they'll kill you or beat you, and you will come out the worse for wear. And they're just stealing, and the Democrats have made this normal in the United States of America. And again, it happens in my neighborhood. It happens, I told you about the nice lady, my best girl and I Saturday went into one of these eyeglasses places, and they keep the door locked because there are 2 women in there, and they've already had Democrat thugs come in and just steal what they want and growl at the women and walk out with it because they're criminals, and criminals will hurt you. And if you should be a security guard at a Walgreens in New York City and a retired NYPD officer, and you attempt to stop a shoplifter who did exactly that. This is the norm now. The Democrats go in with bags, with big bags, and they fill them up with things off the shelves, right? And then they just walk out, and the employees are put in a position where, am I going to put my safety on the line to stop this Democrat from stealing all these things? And for the most part, they don't. But this retired NYPD officer went to stop the guy. He assaulted him. Now, that's assault. A huge welt on his eye. Big, strong guy, the security guy. And then he held the thief and the guy who committed an assault now down for the police. And the police came and they arrested the security guard. In New York City, a crazy person who's now being turned into a local hero that was terrorizing people on a subway train, women and children. Just cringe, just sit there and cringe and live in fear. Here's this mentally ill, probably drug-addled psychopath terrorizing people on the New York City subway train. And a young man, 24 years old, served in the Marine Corps. News media keeps saying he's a retired Marine. They use the words, but they don't know what they mean. But he served in the Marine Corps, and he stopped the lunatic, the mentally ill person, and took him to the ground, and he got him in a chokehold, and tragically, the lunatic died. Now he's being turned into a hero, and the left, they got Alvin Bragg, the George Soros radical prosecutor, pro-crime, pro-criminal, anti-police. You say, well, we're going to take it to a grand jury. They're going to lynch the guy. They're a lynch mob. The Democrat Party is the historic party of lynch mobs. And again, the Spring Valley, 3 times the CVS. Thugs walk in broad daylight with trash bags, empty the shelves, and walk out, and dare you to do something about it. That's what's going on in the United States of America from coast to coast. That's why Walgreens, all of their stores are leaving San Francisco. That's why Nordstrom is leaving San Francisco. That's why the Whole Foods flagship store announced they're leaving San Francisco. Businesses are fleeing Seattle and Portland. They're fleeing Washington, D.C. And let me just say, as a resident of Washington, D.C., if you have a business, you don't want to come, you're a businessman, businesswoman, you don't want to come to Washington, D.C. The Democrats that run the city are on the side of the criminals. They're on the side of crime and not on the side of the police. And that means there will be more crime, more criminals. Again, 4 carjackings per square mile in Washington, D.C. so far this year. Carjackings tripled in D.C. between 2021 and 2022, and they're skyrocketing again this year. And the news media doesn't cover it because they're the Democrat Party. They're representatives of the Democrat Party. It's a tragic thing. Tragic. And it's happening in the whole country. And again, as Al said, who escaped Nicaragua, as Luis said, who escaped Guatemala, both serving in the United States military, both proud Americans, patriotic Americans, great citizens, great Americans. And they are warning us. Luis's wife is from Lebanon, and Luis telling us that he and his wife feel less safe in the United States today than they did in Guatemala and in Lebanon. And they fled Guatemala and Lebanon, and Elle fled Nicaragua to come to the United States of America because it's the United States of America. And now they're terrified by what they're watching happen here. And they're laying it right out. They know. Attacking the truth, attacking families, a two-tiered system of justice in the United States of America, the fabric of society being destroyed. By who? By the left, by the Democrat Party, by these George Soros prosecutors in New York and in Chicago and St. Louis. Those two George Soros prosecutors are on their way toward the exits now. The George Soros prosecutor in San Francisco, Chesa Boudin, spawn of two cop-killing radical left-wing terrorists who went to prison, raised by two more left-wing terrorists, William Ayers and Bernardine Dorn, who of course sent him to Ivy League schools and Oxford, and then he becomes a pro-crime, anti-American, destroy the fabric of society, so-called prosecutor who doesn't prosecute in San Francisco. He was recalled and kicked out of office, even by the people in San Francisco. Oh, by the way, see, they're doing reparations now. $1.2 million for every black person. But one crazy person said, no, $200 million for every black person. This is a big shakedown, the whole thing. Completely crazy. All right, so we got that going for us. Now, let's, and they're also transgenderizing the kids, right? Because, the target is the kids. Now, let me start with this because it's funny. The Daily Wire has the story with this lunatic on the cover. Left-wing activists, left-wing, get a load of this. It's Bud Light. It's a Bud Light story. Talked about it last week, Fenway Park in Boston. The Bud Light stand has nobody, and all their chillers, their refrigerators are completely full because nobody's buying Bud Light at Fenway Park. Right next to it, there's whatever, Miller Lite or whatever it is, and the line was 60 people long. And, hey, you could go right there and not wait in line at all. No, thanks. I'll stay here and wait in line. Going on all over the country. I was at a sports bar I go to kind of in the neighborhood over the weekend, and my friend there also said normally when my friends and I go there, we get a bucket of ice with 5 bottles of Bud Light in it. And he started making it up, and I had to walk over to the bar and say, no, I'll take a DC Brow, which it turns out is much more expensive, but never mind that. And he looked at me like, what? And said, yeah, man, I'll have something else. Now, here's the headline, because they've got this lunatic that they put on the Bud Light commercials because that's their, I guess they thought was going to be their target audience, Dylan Mulvaney.
This month, I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it.
It's the feminist equivalent of blackface. So here's the Daily Wire. Left-wing activists furious. Now, left-wing activists are always furious. Let's start with that. They're mentally ill. Left-wing activists furious at Bud Light for backing away from Dylan Mulvaney call for a boycott of Bud Light. Now, that's funny. Here's the thing. That won't make a dent in Bud Light because left-wing activists were not the Bud Light audience. They're not the Bud Light customer. It's not Kid Rock and Ted Nugent who should be boycotting Bud Light. It should be us, say the left-wing lunatics. And I think that's kind of funny, and they still haven't fired that idiot woman that came up with this idiot idea. They suspended her, probably with pay. So she's in the islands now, never had a Bud Light in her life. Harvard, Wharton, bad idea factories. Several reports indicate that Anheuser-Busch, the parent company of Bud Light, has hemorrhaged sales after executives partnered with Dylan Mulvaney, a man who claims to be a woman, and chronicled his purported gender transition on social media. Executives for the beverage firm have offered vague apologies, downplayed the extent of the campaign, and even hired a veteran Republican lobbyist in various attempts to win back disgruntled conservatives. They didn't hire me. And I actually drink Bud Light. Here's another thing. I found that I'm drinking fewer beers because Bud Light's like water, like 4 of them go down in no time at all. And I buy, beers that people might call real beers. It takes a long time to go through 2 beers. And I think I've decided that's okay. The superficial attempts to back away from Mulvaney, on the other hand, appear to have angered members of the LGBTQ movement. It's a movement. It's a community. It's a movement. It's a political cause. Who are now demanding, they always demand, they never request, that Anheuser-Busch support the ideology or face another boycott effort from the other side of the political spectrum. Okay. Well, gosh, honestly, it's like, Jimmy Carter is the only person in the world that's relieved that Joe Biden is president. And the only person that is relieved by this Bud Light campaign is the guy who came up with New Coke. That's right. The LGBTQ and other left-wing groups are now saying that they want to organize a boycott of their own of Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch, and they do this all the time. Conservatives don't tend to boycott, and I don't boycott. I just don't buy Bud Light anymore, Like a store in my neighborhood that I used to buy stuff at, and then one day I came in and they had giant truck-sized Obama Biden poster, and I'm not boycotting. I just don't go there anymore. So the LGBTQ community told The Hill in Washington, D.C., when faced with anti-LGBTQ plus and transphobic criticism, Anheuser-Busch's actions demonstrate a profound lack of fortitude in upholding the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's DEI. It should be diversity, inclusion, and equity, because that would be DIE, which would be much better. No, that's the left. You can't win for losing, I think, is the Anheuser-Busch thing. Now, let me go to the Washington Post today. Front page story above the fold. Most in U.S. back GOP's anti-trans policies. They're not anti-trans policies. They're leave the kids alone policies. Poll bolsters those seeking restrictions in schools, sports, and healthcare. Now, that is to say, don't want transgender porn star bearded women twerking in the faces of my kindergarten student. And they call it the Don't Say Gay bill. Never said don't say gay, never said anything. Okay. Clear majorities of Americans support restrictions on affecting transgender children. A Washington Post KFF poll finds offering political jet fuel for Republicans in state legislatures and Congress who are pushing measures restricting curriculum, sports participation, and medical care. Now, that is deceptive, extremely deceptive. Here's what the lie is rolled into here. When they say curriculum, they mean teaching transgenderism in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and third grade, which is what the law restricts in Florida, and they call it the Don't Say Gay bill, and that's it. Sports participation, that means biological males, boys, competing against biological females, girls, and biological men competing against biological women. Although men do make all the best women these days, don't they? In golf, in swimming, in weightlifting, in bicycle racing, in track and field. Men are winning the women's trophies all over the place, and Democrats applaud that because of the epidemic of mental illness. Honestly, sports participation and medical care. When they say medical care, what they mean is puberty blockers for prepubescent and pubescent males, and it will render them eunuchs who will never experience sexual pleasure. All right? And I've got more on this because the Washington Post piece is long. They view everything through a political prism rather than, caring about children, caring for our children. They demand a program that sexually corrupts children with gender dysphoria. And if anyone should raise an eyebrow, they've been attacking everyone. Now, I've got one stat that I got to tell you, Ron DeSantis is going to campaign on this stat. This stat coming up. All right, so I get a load of this Washington Post stuff. They're alarmed to find that most Americans don't believe it's even possible to be a gender that differs from that assigned at birth. Imagine that. A 57% majority of adults said a person's gender is determined from the start, with 43% being mentally ill and saying it can differ. Some Americans have become more conservative on the question as Republicans have seized on the issue and worked to promote new restrictions. The Pew Research Center found 60% last year saying one's gender is determined by sex and assigned at birth, up from 54% in 2017. Even among young adults, who are the most accepting of trans identity, about half said in the Post poll that a person's gender is determined by their sex at birth. Can you imagine such a thing? People are coming around. People are coming to their senses. Now, here's the one that I wanted to point out. More than 3 in 4 adults. This is buried. Now, it's a front page story. And you have to go to then it goes to the last page of the ACE sectional, page 16, all the way at the bottom of the page. Paragraph number 16 of the story. More than 3 in 4 adults said it was inappropriate to discuss trans identity with students in kindergarten through 3rd grade. And nearly as many said the same for 4th and 5th grades. Now, they buried this statistic at the bottom of the story on the last page of the paper because, they don't want it to be the headline. Because this is what the Democrats are pushing. And this is it's the parental rights bill. Don't indoctrinate our children. Hey, teacher, leave those kids alone. And it goes with the school teacher in Texas that lectured the students in high school. Don't be critical of someone just because they want to have sex with a 5-year-old. The Democrat Party is normalizing pedophilia and child sex predators, right? Most adults say gender is based on sex assigned at birth. And it breaks their heart at the Washington Post to say this. A majority of Americans support laws prohibiting discrimination against trans people. That's adults. Leave the children alone. Most Americans say trans women and girls should not be allowed to compete in sports with other women and girls. That's because the other women and girls are women and girls, and the trans women and girls are men and boys.